7 days to Christmas, and Comfort was frustrated. There were no clothes hanging on the wall, no shoes by the door, no secret plans whispered by her aunt. Nothing. Comfort stood in front of the mirror, staring at herself, turning slowly. Christmas was coming, and she would wear the same old dress everyone had already seen too many times. She sighed loudly. 7 days, she muttered. She and her sister, Joy, lived with their aunt, Beatrice. Their parents were poor, so poor they sent their only 2 daughters away because feeding them had become impossible. Aunt Beatrice had no husband and no children of her own. She took them in, but that was where her kindness ended. "You people should be grateful," she always said. "At least you eat." Christmas meant nothing special in her house. It was just another day. Comfort hated that. Every morning, Comfort hoped for something to change. Maybe Aunt Beatrice would mention clothes. Maybe she would complain about prices in the market. Maybe she would say, "We will manage something small." She said nothing. Comfort stopped asking questions and started counting days instead. While Comfort worried, Joy worked. Joy sat on the floor with yarn in her hands, crocheting quietly. She had learned the skill by watching women in the village square. Nobody taught her properly. She watched, practiced, failed, and tried again. Caps, blouses, small bags. Her fingers moved with patience. People noticed. "That girl is talented," someone once said. Comfort heard it and said nothing. That morning, Joy finally spoke. "I want to sell my crochet," she said. Comfort turned sharply. "Sell?" "Yes, in the village square. If I sell enough, we can buy Christmas clothes." The room went silent. Joy would be praised, Joy would be useful, Joy would succeed. Something bitter rose in Comfort's chest. "So you think that will save us?" she asked coldly. Joy looked surprised. "It's better than waiting." Comfort laughed dryly. "Waiting is all we do." Joy did not argue. She returned to her crochet. That silence annoyed Comfort more than words. Comfort watched Joy's hands, steady, confident, busy. If Joy succeeded, people would admire her. If Joy failed, Comfort would not feel so small. That thought scared her. That night, Joy slept peacefully beside her yarn. Comfort did not sleep. 7 days to Christmas. Joy had a plan, Comfort had none, and jealousy quietly found a place in her heart. It was 6 days to Christmas, and Comfort made her first move. She waited until Aunt Beatrice was in a bad mood, that moment when her face was tight and her words sharp. Comfort knew that moment well. She chose it carefully. "Auntie," she began softly, pretending to hesitate. "I don't know if I should say this, but I'm worried about Joy." Aunt Beatrice looked up. "Worried about what?" Comfort lowered her voice. "She says she's selling crochet in the village square, but sometimes she comes back very late. People might start talking. Boys are always there." That was all. Comfort did not add more. She did not need to. Lies worked better when they sounded like concern. Aunt Beatrice's face hardened. "So that is what she's doing," she muttered. Joy, meanwhile, knew nothing. She woke up early every day, packed her crochet neatly, and walked from house to house. She did not sit in the village square like others. She knocked on doors politely. She greeted elders properly. "Good afternoon, Ma. Please, I make these with my hands." People were amazed. Her designs were different. The patterns were neat. The colors were bold. Some women touched the fabric twice to be sure it was real. "I've never seen crochet like this. You made this alone?" Joy smiled shyly. "Yes." They bought. Sometimes one piece, sometimes 2, sometimes they told their neighbors. Joy walked long distances. She stopped only when her legs hurt, and she returned home tired but hopeful, her small earnings tied carefully in cloth. She never met boys, she never played, she never wasted time. She worked. One evening, Joy returned later than usual. She had stayed longer at a woman's house who kept admiring her work and calling neighbors to come and see. Joy did not know time had passed so quickly. When she reached home, the compound was quiet. too quiet. She stepped inside. Aunt Beatrice was waiting. "Where are you coming from?" she asked sharply. Joy froze. "Auntie, I was selling my crochet." "Selling or roaming about with boys?" Aunt Beatrice snapped. "Boys? No, Auntie. I go from house to house." "Liar," Aunt Beatrice shouted. Comfort stood quietly in the corner, eyes lowered, lips pressed together. Joy turned to her sister confused. "Comfort?" Comfort said nothing. Aunt Beatrice did not wait for explanations. She stormed into the room, grabbed her crochet work and threw it on the floor. "All this nonsense, using my house to disgrace me." Joy cried out, "Auntie, please, I made those with my hands." Aunt Beatrice did not listen. She gathered the yarn, the finished clothes, the half-made designs. She dragged everything outside. "No!" Joy screamed, running after her. Aunt Beatrice set fire to them. The flames rose quickly. Joy fell to her knees. Her work burnt. Her hope burnt. Her Christmas burnt. Comfort watched. She felt something twist in her stomach, but she did not speak. The fire crackled, and when it died, nothing remained. It was 5 days to Christmas and Joy cried. Not because there would be no Christmas clothes, not because the season was close. She cried because her hands had worked for nothing. She sat on the floor, staring at the blackened ground outside the house where her crochet had burnt. Every loop, every stitch, every late night she spent bending over yarn, all gone. Her chest hurt. Aunt Beatrice stood over her, arms folded. "If I ever see you doing that crochet again," she warned coldly, "you will leave this house." Joy nodded quickly. Fear had replaced hope. She did not argue, she did not explain, she only cried quietly, wiping her face so no one would hear. Comfort watched from the corner.
That afternoon, Joy left the house. She did not go far. She did not go to the village square. She went to the house of the woman who had admired her work the most, Miss Esther. The woman who once held her crochet for a long time and said, "Your hands are special." When the woman opened the door and saw Joy's swollen eyes, she knew something was wrong. "What happened?" she asked. Joy broke down. She told her everything, the burning, the warning, the fear. She begged softly. "Please," Joy said, her voice shaking, "let me come here every day to work. I won't sell. I won't talk. I just don't want my hands to waste." The woman listened quietly. Then she smiled gently. "My daughter," she said, "a gift is not meant to be buried." She welcomed Joy inside. "You will come here," she continued. "You will walk. I will keep your crochet safe. No one needs to know." Joy nodded, tears falling again. But this time, they were different. They carried relief. From that day, Joy walked in silence. She came early. She left early. She hid her work carefully. No one noticed. No one suspected. Comfort watched Joy move quietly in and out of the house and wondered. Christmas was getting closer. It was 4 days to Christmas and Comfort knew she was running out of time. That morning, the village town crier's gong cut through the air. People stepped out of their huts as his voice echoed across the paths. "By order of the king," he shouted, "there will be a talent feast in the village square. Everyone is invited to present what they have. The winner will receive a mansion and 2 acres of land." The village stirred. People gasped, people smiled, people began to talk at once. Comfort stood still. A mansion, land. Her heart tightened. Joy had a talent. She did not. The thought burned hotter than hunger. Comfort walked slowly home, her mind racing. She imagined Joy standing in the square, people clapping, elders nodding, her name being praised. She imagined herself standing beside her, empty-handed, invisible. Anger rose in her chest. Then a wicked thought slipped in. Comfort knew some boys. Bad boys. Boys who lingered around the back of the market, always with money they never explained. Boys who smiled too much and asked for too little. She sat up straight. If talent brings money, then I will find another way. She dressed carefully, short skirt, tight top. She looked at herself once in the mirror, hardened her face, and stepped out. But when she reached the corner where the boys usually gathered, she stopped short. They were already talking. "Have you heard about that girl who crochets? Joy? The one with the fine designs. They say the king's people have heard of her work already. Comfort's stomach dropped. Joy's name was already moving ahead of her. The talent she tried to bury was rising, and Comfort stood there, realizing too late she was losing. Comfort did not walk away. She stepped closer to the boys, forcing a smile. That girl you are talking about, Joy, she's my sister. The boys turned to her. She really makes those crochet things, fine ones, different ones. If she shows them at the feast, the king will notice her. The boys exchanged looks. One of them laughed softly. Then why are you here? Comfort hesitated. They leaned closer. We can make money from that talent, but nothing is free. They told her their plan. Joy would be lured to them. They would keep her hidden. She would make crochet for them day and night. On the day of the feast, they would present the designs as their own. Comfort's heart raced. And me, she asked. They brought out the money. 10,000 naira. Her breath caught. It was enough for clothes, shoes, food, Christmas pride. She nodded quickly. It's a deal. The money changed hands. Comfort went home smiling. It was 3 days to Christmas. That morning, Comfort found Joy. Let's go fetch firewood, she said sweetly. We need it for the house. Joy hesitated, then agreed. They walked towards the bush, laughing lightly. Joy trusted her sister. She did not see danger in her shadow. Then hands grabbed her. Rough hands. Joy screamed. Comfort did not look back. She ran. The boys dragged Joy away, her cries swallowed by the trees. Comfort walked straight to the market. She bought clothes, shoes, boxes of food. She carried them proudly home, smiling to herself. Christmas was finally coming for her. It was 2 days to Christmas and the entire village square had come alive. From early morning, people poured in from every corner of the village and nearby settlements. Men carried carved stools on their heads. Women arrived with baskets of woven nuts, painted calabashes, beadworks, clay pots, and all kinds of handmade items. Children ran about, shouting, pointing, and laughing. The air buzzed with anticipation. This was the day everyone had waited for. The talent feast. At the far end of the square, a raised platform had been built. The king sat in the center, flanked by elders and chiefs. Before him lay an open space where each participant would present what they had to offer. The prize was no small thing: wealth, land, and recognition that could change a person's life forever. Among the crowd stood Miss Esther. She held no basket. She carried no artwork. She was waiting for Joy. Joy was never careless with time. Every morning, long before the sun climbed high, she would arrive at Miss Esther's house with her yarn neatly wrapped, her fingers already eager to work. Even on days when she was tired or sad, she never failed to show up. But that morning, Joy had not come. At first, Miss Esther brushed it aside. Perhaps she went straight to the square. Today is important, she thought. Still, unease settled in her chest. She searched the crowd again. No Joy. She moved closer to the front, standing on her toes, scanning every face. Girls her age were there, some dressed proudly, some nervous, some whispering excitedly, but Joy was nowhere to be seen. The presentations began. One after the other, people stepped forward. A young man displayed carved animal figures. The elders nodded politely. A group of women danced and sang, their voices strong and practiced. Another man presented painted bowls, explaining his designs with confidence. The crowd clapped after each display. Miss Esther clapped too, but her mind was elsewhere. Her eyes kept drifting towards the path that led into the square. Still no Joy. Her heart tightened. She would not miss this, she murmured, not after all she endured. She thought of the girl's burned materials, her tears, her quiet determination. She remembered how Joy worked late into the evenings, fingers sore, eyes heavy, yet never complaining. Something was wrong. Without waiting for another moment, Miss Esther turned and pushed her way out of the square. People protested as she brushed past them, but she didn't stop to explain. Her legs moved faster than her thoughts as she hurried back to her compound.
She unlocked her door with shaking hands. "Joy," she called out. No answer. The room was silent. Miss Esther went straight to the corner where Joy's work was hidden, beneath folded cloth, carefully covered, just as they had agreed. She lifted the cloth. Her breath caught. Everything was there. Every single piece, the dresses, the shawls, the caps, the intricate designs that had taken days and nights to complete. Joy had not taken a single one. Miss Esther staggered back and sat heavily on a stool.
"This is not right," she whispered. If Joy had planned to present her work herself, she would have taken them. The fact that they were untouched told Miss Esther everything she needed to know. Joy had not chosen to stay away. Something had stopped her. Fear crept in. Anger followed close behind. Miss Esther stood up suddenly. "No," she said aloud, "I will not keep quiet." She gathered the crochet pieces carefully, wrapping them in cloth. Each one felt heavier than the last, not because of weight, but because of what they represented: sweat, tears, and stolen effort. She tied the bundle firmly and stepped out. The village square was still full when she returned. The feast was nearing its peak. The king leaned back, observing the final presentations. The elders whispered among themselves, discussing what they had seen so far. Miss Esther did not wait to be called. She walked straight into the open space. Murmurs spread through the crowd. "Who is that? She wasn't announced. What is she carrying?" The guards moved to stop her, but the king raised his hand. "Let her speak," he said. Miss Esther knelt respectfully and placed the bundle before him. "These works," she said, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart, "were not made by me." The crowd leaned in. "They were made by a young girl named Joy. She has been working quietly for days. I only helped her hide her work." The king's brow furrowed. "And where is this girl?" he asked. Miss Esther swallowed. "That is why I am here," she said. "Joy is missing." A ripple of shock passed through the square. "Missing?" Whispers rose immediately. "Missing? How? When?" Miss Esther straightened her back. "She was meant to come to my house this morning as she always does. She did not come. I searched the square. She was not here. I went home. Her work was untouched." She looked around the crowd, her eyes sharp. A girl who worked this hard would not abandon her chance willingly. The king leaned forward now, interest fully awakened. "Open it," he commanded. The guards untied the bundle. Gasps filled the air. The crochet pieces were unlike anything the village had seen before. The designs were neat, bold, and striking. Colors blended beautifully. Every stitch spoke of skill and patience. Even the elders nodded in amazement. "Who taught her this?" one asked. "She taught herself, through effort and hunger." The king's voice grew firm. "This feast will pause until the girl named Joy is found." The square fell silent. Somewhere in the crowd, Comfort's heart began to race, and far away, hidden from all eyes, Joy waited, unaware that her work had finally reached the palace. The village square was already in chaos when the unexpected happened. Just as the king was still studying Joy's crochet designs laid before him by Miss Esther, a loud commotion rose from the edge of the square. Heads turned, murmurs spread. A group of young men pushed their way forward, carrying a bundle. "Make way," one of them shouted. "We have come to present our work." Miss Esther froze. Her eyes locked on the bundle in their hands. Her heart dropped. She knew those designs. She would know them anywhere. The patterns, the colors, the stitches, those were Joy's hands speaking. Without thinking, she stood up and walked straight toward them. "Stop," she said firmly. "Where did you get those?" The boys ignored her, standing tall as if nothing could touch them. One of them smirked. "We made them," he said quickly. Miss Esther's chest tightened. Something inside her refused to rest. She turned sharply and dropped to her knees before the king. "My king," she pleaded, her voice trembling but loud enough for all to hear. "I beg you, ask these men to explain how these designs were made. Let them speak of the stitches, the patterns, the work. Only then will I believe they are the creators." The square went quiet. The king's eyes narrowed. "Bring them closer," he commanded. The guards obeyed, dragging the boys forward. The bundle was opened. The king lifted one piece and held it up. "Explain this," he said calmly. "How did you achieve this design?" The boys exchanged quick glances. One of them cleared his throat. We just did it." The king did not raise his voice. "Explain," he repeated. Silence. Sweat formed on their faces. Another elder leaned forward. "What stitch is this?" No answer. The king stood. "If you do not speak the truth now," he said coldly, "you will walk in the palace for 10 years, 10 years without freedom." The boys collapsed. "Please," one cried, "we did not make it." The truth spilled out in shame. They spoke of comfort, of the money, of luring Joy into the bush, of locking her up and forcing her to work without food. The square erupted. Cries of anger filled the air. "Bring the girl," the king thundered. The guards ran. When they returned, Joy was with them. She looked thin. Her eyes were dull. Her steps were weak. The moment Miss Esther saw her, she rushed forward and held her tightly. "They kept me there," she whispered, her voice cracked. "They said if I stopped working, I would never go home." The king felt the weight of silence settle over the square. "Show us," he said gently. "Show us how you made them." Joy knelt slowly. With shaking hands, she picked up the yarn. She spoke as she worked. She explained every stitch, every pattern, every idea. The elders nodded. The crowd watched in amazement. When she finished, the king stood and raised his staff. "You have not only shown talent," he declared. "You have shown patience, strength, and truth." He turned to Joy. "You have won the prize. A mansion, 2 acres of land, and my support." The square exploded with cheers. Then Comfort and Auntie Beatrice stepped forward, trembling. They knelt before Joy, crying. "Forgive us," Comfort sobbed. "We were wrong." Joy looked at them quietly. "I forgive you," she said. But the king did not. He said, "The wrong done here cannot be ignored. The men, Comfort and Auntie Beatrice, will sweep this village square every morning and every night for the rest of their lives." The punishment was carried out. The day of Christmas finally came. Drums sounded across the village. Laughter filled the air. Children ran about in new clothes, chasing joy the way only children know how. Comfort also wore new clothes. She wore new shoes too, but there was no joy in her steps. From morning till night, she swept the village square, her back bent, her eyes swollen, her heart heavy. Every laugh she heard reminded her of what she had traded away. Every song pierced her chest. She had imagined Christmas differently. She imagined praise, she imagined riches, she imagined being admired. Instead, she swept while others celebrated. Auntie Beatrice swept beside her, silent and ashamed. Across the square, Joy stood tall. She did not mock them. She did not laugh. She simply lived.
She cared for her parents. She helped her sister and aunt financially, provided everything they needed. But every morning and every night, they still swept the square. Because forgiveness does not cancel consequences. And the village never forgot. Joy's hands never stopped working. Her design spread beyond the village, reaching people of influence and wealth. She opened her own store, and her name became known for skill, patience, and integrity. She never forgot Miss Esther. She made her her personal assistant, not as repayment, but as honor. And every Christmas after that, as parents gathered their children in the evenings, they told this story softly. Talent can lift you, but character keeps you standing. Jealousy blinds, but patience opens doors. And the work of your hands will always speak, whether you hide it or not. And in that village, no child ever forgot. Christmas is sweeter when your hands are clean. Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.